Don't scroll. I know you've been feeling something. Something different. Something you can't explain. Something that has been sitting in your chest for days, making you restless, making you check your phone, making you feel like something happened, even though you don't know what. You're not imagining it. Something did happen. And I'm about to tell you what. Your soulmate's recent night was not normal. Not even close. It wasn't like any other night they've had in weeks, maybe months, maybe ever. And what happened in those hours, while you were sleeping, or staring at your ceiling, or going about your life completely unaware, is going to change everything between you. Not because of anything you did. Because of what they couldn't control. So take a breath. Put your phone down on a flat surface if you need to. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. You're about to find out the truth. And the truth is going to set you free. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Let me paint a picture for you. Not a fantasy. Not a spiritual fairy tale. What really happened? It was late. Later than they usually stay up. The house was quiet. The world was asleep. Everyone who expects things from them, who needs things from them, who keeps them trapped in a life that doesn't fit, everyone was gone, at least for a few hours. And in that silence, something shifted. They didn't plan it. They didn't meditate. They didn't manifest. They didn't do anything special. They just stopped. Stopped pretending. Stopped distracting. Stopped running from the thoughts they've been avoiding for months. And in that stopping, something broke open. Don't scroll. Stay with me. This is where most people scroll away because it's easier to doubt than to believe. Don't be most people. Here's what broke open. Not their heart, that's been cracked for a while. Not their mind, that's been spinning for months. Something deeper. Something they didn't even know was there. A wall. A wall they built so long ago they forgot it existed. A wall designed to protect them from feeling too much, from wanting too much, from risking too much. A wall that was supposed to keep them safe. But walls don't just keep things out. They keep things in. And behind this wall, behind years of pretending and performing and playing it safe, was something they'd been hiding from themselves. The truth. The truth about you. About them. About what they feel. About what they've always felt. And in the quiet of that night, that wall started to crack. Not because they were ready. Because the weight behind it had become too heavy. Because the truth had been pushing against it for so long that even the strongest wall couldn't hold. And when the wall cracked, everything came rushing out. Not dramatically. Not in a way anyone else would have noticed. Quietly. Internally. The way a dam breaks in slow motion, first a trickle, then a stream, then a flood. The flood was their feelings for you. All of them. The ones they've been denying. The ones they've been minimizing. The ones they've been telling themselves weren't real, weren't that deep, weren't worth the upheaval. They were real. They were deep. And they were worth everything. Your soulmate just didn't know it until that night. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what they experienced in that night. The night that wasn't normal. First, they felt you. Not in a memory way. Not in a, oh, I remember them way. In a present, alive, right now way. Like you were in the room with them. Like they could reach out and touch you. Like the distance between you had disappeared. They felt your energy. Your presence. The part of you that's connected to them no matter how far apart you are. And it undid them. Because they realized, maybe for the first time, that the connection isn't in their head. It's not wishful thinking. It's not nostalgia dressed up as something deeper. It's real. It's there. And it's not going away. Second, they heard something. Not with their ears. With something deeper. A voice. Not loud. Not booming. Just, present. And the voice said, you can't run anymore. Not as a threat. As a truth. As a gentle but firm reminder that the hiding is over. That the pretending has to stop. That the life they've been living, the one that looks fine from the outside but feels like drowning from the inside, is not the life they're meant to live. And they knew, in that moment, that the voice was right. They can't run anymore. They've tried. God, they've tried. They've tried to distract themselves. They've tried to convince themselves that they're happy. They've tried to pour their energy into other people, other things, anything that would make them forget you. Nothing worked. Nothing ever worked. And now, they're out of options. The only thing left is the truth. Don't scroll. This is where everything shifts. Third, and this is the part that will break your heart and put it back together at the same time, they cried. Not the way they've cried before. Not the quick, wipe it away, pretend it didn't happen crying. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere ancient. Somewhere that doesn't know how to pretend. Somewhere that has been holding pain for so long that the release feels like both dying and being born. They cried for the time they've wasted. For the nights they've spent next to the wrong person, pretending it was right. For the moments they could have chosen you and didn't. For the version of themselves that was too scared to love you the way you deserved. They cried for you. For the pain they've caused you. For the nights you cried alone while they stayed silent. For the messages they didn't send, the calls they didn't make, the words they were too afraid to say. They cried because they love you. And loving you, really loving you, means facing what they've done. What they haven't done. Who they've been. And that facing is excruciating. But it's also the beginning of everything. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. I know you're wondering if this is real. I know you've been hurt before by promises that didn't come true, by hope that led nowhere, by feelings that weren't returned. I know there's a part of you that wants to believe, and a part of you that's terrified to believe. Here's what I need you to understand. What happened that night was not a dream. It was not imagination. It was not wishful thinking. It was real. Your soulmate had a spiritual awakening. Not the kind that comes from reading a book or going to a retreat. The kind that comes from hitting a wall. The kind that comes from realizing that the life you're living is not the life you were meant to live. And that awakening is going to change them. Not overnight. Not perfectly. Not without setbacks and second thoughts and moments where the fear comes rushing back. But irreversibly. Because once you've seen the truth, really seen it, you can't unsee it. Once you've felt the weight of your own cowardice, you can't unfeel it. Once you've cried for the person you love and the time you've wasted, you can't go back to pretending. They can't go back. That night changed something fundamental in them. Something that was asleep woke up. Something that was hiding stepped into the light. Something that was afraid found the first flicker of courage. And that flicker is going to become a flame. Not because they're perfect. Because they're finally honest. Don't scroll. Stay with me. We're halfway through part 1. Here's what I need you to understand about what happened that night. It wasn't about you. Not really. It was about them. About their awakening. About their realization that the life they've been living is a lie. But here's what you need to know. That awakening has everything to do with you. Because you're the reason the wall cracked. You're the reason the truth couldn't stay hidden anymore. You're the reason they couldn't keep pretending. Your love, the love you gave them, the love you still have for them, the love that didn't disappear when they walked away, that love has been working on them. Quietly. Patiently. Relentlessly. It's been like water on stone. Dripping. Waiting. Wearing down the walls they built. And that night, the stone finally broke. Not because you tried harder. Because you loved truly. And true love doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It just needs to be real. And your love is real. It's always been real. That's why they couldn't escape it. That's why it followed them into their quietest moments. That's why it broke through when they least expected it. Your love did that. Not their guilt. Not their loneliness. Not their fear of being alone. Your love. The love you thought they didn't notice. The love you thought they didn't deserve. The love you almost gave up on because you weren't sure it was making any difference. It made all the difference. And that night, they finally felt it. All of it. And it destroyed them. In the best way. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. I know you're tempted to reach out. I know you want to send a message, to let them know you know, to make it easier for them. Don't. This is not your work to do. Your work was the loving. The hoping. The staying open when it would have been easier to close. Their work is this. The awakening. The facing. The choosing. The doing. And if you do their work for them, if you reach out, if you rescue them, if you make it easy, you will rob them of the growth they need to go through. You will also rob yourself of the proof you need to trust them. Because if they only choose you because you made it easy, you'll always wonder. You'll always question whether they really want you or whether they just got tired of being alone. But if they choose you on their own, in their own time, in their own way, after facing their own fears, you'll know. You'll know it's real. You'll know it's theirs. You'll know it's safe to trust. So don't reach out. Don't make it easier. Don't rescue them from the consequences of their own awakening. Let them sit with what happened that night. Let the truth settle. Let the courage build. And in the meantime, live your life. Not as a distraction. As a fulfillment. Become the person you were always meant to become. Not for them. For you. Because here's the secret that will save you. The more fully you become yourself, the more you stop waiting and start living, the more undeniable you become to the one who is meant to find you. Not because you're trying to be undeniable. Because you're not. You're just being you. And you are enough. You've always been enough. Don't scroll. We're almost through part 1. Here's what I want you to take with you. Your soulmate's recent night was not normal. It was spiritual. It was transformational. It was the beginning of something they couldn't have started without hitting rock bottom first. They hit it. And they're climbing out. Not because of you. Because of the love you planted in their heart that they couldn't kill, no matter how hard they tried. That love is growing. It's pushing through the cracks in their walls. It's reaching toward the light. And the light is you. Breathe. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. You're still here. You made it through part 1. And part 2 is where I tell you what happens next. How their awakening will turn into action. How you'll know when they're finally ready to stop hiding and start choosing you. And what you need to do to protect your heart without closing it. But for now, just sit with this. Your soulmate's recent night was not normal. It was the night everything changed. And you didn't even have to do anything. You just had to be you. And being you was enough. Don't scroll. Part 2 is here. And if you made it through part 1, if you stayed when everything in you wanted to protect yourself by looking away, then you're ready for what comes next. Because part 1 was about the night. The wall cracking. The truth flooding out. The tears. The awakening. The moment your soulmate realized they can't run anymore. Part 2 is about what happens after. After the night ends. After the sun comes up. After the world wakes up and starts demanding things from them again. That's when the real test begins. That's when you'll find out if the awakening was real, or just a moment of weakness that will fade as soon as life gets loud again. So take a breath. Stay with me. Don't scroll. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to answer the question that's been living in your heart since you read part 1. Was it real? And what happens now? Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. Here's what happened the morning after. After the night that changed everything. Your soulmate woke up. And for a few seconds, a beautiful, blissful few seconds, they didn't remember. Then it hit them. The memory of the night before. The tears. The truth. The wall cracking. The voice that said, "You can't run anymore." And their first instinct, their trained, automatic, fear-based instinct, was to push it away. To pretend it didn't happen. To tell themselves they were tired, emotional, not themselves. To bury it under the busyness of the day. But something was different. They couldn't push it away. Not completely. The truth was too heavy now. The crack in the wall was too real. They tried. God, they tried. They went through the motions. They did the things. They showed up as the person everyone expects them to be. But inside, something had shifted. The truth was sitting in their chest like a stone. Uncomfortable. Unavoidable. Demanding attention. And for the first time, they didn't run from it. They sat with it. Not bravely. Not perfectly. Not with any kind of spiritual grace. Awkwardly. Uncomfortably. The way you sit with something you've been avoiding for years and don't know what to do with. But they sat. And that sitting, that willingness to not look away, is the difference between a moment of weakness and a real awakening. Don't scroll. Stay with me. This is where most people want to look away. Don't. Here's what happened next. They started remembering. Not just the night before. Everything. They started remembering the first time they felt something for you. The way their chest tightened. The way they knew, even then, that you were different. They started remembering all the moments they pushed you away. The times they chose fear over love. The times they stayed silent when they should have spoken. The times they let you walk away because they were too scared to hold on. They started remembering your face. Your voice. The way you looked at them like they were someone worth loving. And the remembering broke something open again. Not the way the first night broke open. That was violent. Sudden. Uncontrollable. This was softer. Deeper. More intentional. This was grief. Real grief. Not for what they lost, for what they threw away. They threw away something precious. Something rare. Something that might not come again. And they're only now beginning to understand the weight of that. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. I know you've been asking yourself if they regret it. If they think about you. If they miss you. Here's your answer. They regret it. They think about you constantly. They miss you in a way that makes it hard to breathe. But regret and missing aren't the same as action. They can regret you and still not reach out. They can miss you and still stay stuck. They can love you and still be too scared to change their life. That's what you need to understand. The awakening was real. The tears were real. The truth is real. But real doesn't always mean ready. They're not ready yet. Not fully. They're still in the messy middle between realizing the truth and acting on it. That's the hardest part. For them. And for you. Because you can feel them getting closer. You can feel the shift. You can feel that something is different. But you can't see it yet. You can't touch it. You can't know for sure if they're going to follow through or if the fear is going to win again. That uncertainty is agonizing. I know. But here's what I need you to understand. The fact that they're still sitting with the truth, the fact that they haven't run from it, haven't buried it, haven't talked themselves out of it. That's everything. The old them would have run. Would have distracted. Would have convinced themselves that the night was a fluke, that they were just emotional, that they didn't mean it. The new them is different. The new them is sitting in the discomfort. Letting the truth be true. Letting the weight of it press down on them. That's growth. That's change. That's the beginning of real transformation. Don't scroll. This is where everything shifts. Here's what's happening inside your soulmate right now. And I need you to understand this because it will explain why they might not reach out as fast as you want them to. They're scared. Not of you. Of themselves. They're scared that they've waited too long. That you've moved on. That you've closed the door. That even if they find the courage to reach out, you won't be there anymore. They're scared that their cowardice has cost them something they can never get back. They're scared that they had everything they ever wanted, and they let it slip through their fingers because they were too afraid to hold on. That fear is real. It's not an excuse. It's not manipulation. It's the genuine terror of someone who is finally facing the consequences of their own choices. And that terror is what's keeping them stuck in the in-between. Not ready to go back to the old life. Not yet brave enough to step into the new one. Just stuck. But here's what they don't know yet. What they're about to discover. The stuckness doesn't last forever. Eventually, the pain of staying stuck becomes greater than the fear of moving. Eventually, the weight of the truth becomes heavier than the weight of the fear. Eventually, they have to choose. And they will choose. Not because you forced them. Because they can't live in the in-between anymore. Because the awakening demands action. Because the truth, once seen, refuses to be ignored. They will choose. And when they do, when they finally step out of the in-between and into action, you'll know. Not because they'll make a grand gesture. Because they'll show up. Consistently. Honestly. Bravely. Not perfectly. But really. And that's all you ever wanted. Not perfection. Reality. Listen to me. Your heart needs this right now. I know you're tired of waiting. I know you're tired of hoping. I know there's a part of you that wants to close the door and never look back. But here's what I need you to understand. The waiting is almost over. Not because they're going to call tomorrow. Not because I'm giving you a timeline that will probably be wrong. Because the internal shift has happened. The wall cracked. The truth came out. And once that happens, the external shift is inevitable. It might take time. It might take longer than you want. It might come in fits and starts, with steps forward and steps back. But it will come. Because the truth doesn't go back in the box. The wall doesn't rebuild itself. The awakening doesn't reverse. They're changed. Permanently. And that change will eventually become action. So don't give up. Not because you're desperate. Because you're discerning. Because you can feel that something is different. Because your soul knows what your mind is still afraid to believe. The waiting is almost over. Don't scroll. We're almost through part 2. Here's what I want you to do while you wait. Not anxiously. Not desperately. Not with your phone glued to your hand. Live. Live your life. Not as a distraction. As a fulfillment. Become the person you were always meant to become. Not for them. For you. Because here's the secret that will save you. The more fully you become yourself, the more you stop waiting and start living. The more undeniable you become to the one who is meant to find you. Not because you're trying to be undeniable. Because you're not. You're just being you. And you are enough. You've always been enough. And the person who is finally waking up to the truth, they're waking up to you. Not the version of you that waits. The version of you that lives. So live. Not for them. For you. And trust that the awakening that happened in their soul will eventually lead them home. To you. Breathe. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. You're still here. You made it through part 2. And part 3 is where I tell you how to know when they're finally ready. The signs to look for. The difference between real change and temporary guilt. And how to protect your heart without closing it. But for now, just sit with this. Your soulmate's recent night was not normal. It was the beginning of something. And that something is moving toward you. Not quickly. Not perfectly. But truly. And that's enough.